Welcome in, everybody, to another special edition of G-Rated. I'm your host, Gerald Bourget, and today we'll be talking about The Last of Us season finale and season 1 as a whole. I am joined by Leah, Derek, and Craig, and I'm very excited to talk about this one because I can't remember a first season of anything that I've enjoyed quite as much as this one.
Right.
We saw Joel make quite a decision at the end there to
That's an understatement.
save Ellie and doom humanity. Initial thoughts. Did Joel make the right decision?
Wow.
I
don't. That's the question. It's the question. It's how the video game itself ended. It's the narrative that it left out there. Like, what's more important to you? The people that you love, the people that you care about, or saving all of humanity, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, it was quite the ending, and I couldn't have imagined them doing it in a better fashion, especially with Joel just fully going off there at the end and not caring about who stood in his way of protecting Ellie.
Yeah, dude is efficient.
was like, how is he having this level of success?
No, you'll just come after him.
Yeah, he went full Leon from The Professional, right? Like,
yes.
He just took everybody out to protect the girl, and that was what kind of the series became after a while.
So there's a greater moral question here, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Agency. Like,
yes.
Ellie never has agency.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Whoever's making the decision is making the decision for her.
Mm.
And at least, it's not clear cut with him either, with Joel, because there's a little bit of, she's replacing his daughter, he's going to protect her.
Yeah.
But no one gave her the choice. They didn't tell her. She probably thought, you're going to take some blood from me or something.
Mm.
No, we're going to cut out your brain
Right.
and you're going to die.
Right.
Mm.
Can somebody just let the kid know what's going on and let her make the choice?
I think she would have. I think she would have done
She
it.
may have, but
She
we don't
would have.
know.
Right.
We
Right.
don't know because it was never presented to her.
Right. Like you said, she thought in the one episode with Sam that she could cut herself and,
Right.
and share blood with him.
Her
and
medical
save him.
knowledge is clearly
Right.
not
Yeah, right.
par in
Which
this
is something that's on display throughout the whole show, right? I
Yeah.
mean, this is a girl that was born in this apocalyptic world and doesn't know any better. She's constantly asking questions about what life was like beforehand and all that. So, like, she doesn't understand, but at the end of the day, she understands that she's special and unique, and that all of this that they went through, as she talked about in the final episode, would be worthless if they don't make it to their destination and have her do everything she can to help humanity. Like you said, if she had the choice to make the decision, she probably would have allowed them to do it if she knew that was an option.
But we don't know.
Right.
And also, it's probably what you're talking about with her not really understanding things. It's kind of a condemnation of the post-apocalyptic
Education.
Education.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
That's not great.
Pedro, get it together.
Pedro's
So focused
dropping
on
the ball.
puns. I mean, there's so much education on puns.
But I just want to speak to that because I don't think like the question can even be right and wrong because it's wrong to murder
Yes.
like all those people
Yes, yeah,
for
right.
what? Like that was wrong. But I also don't think Joel was wrong because like you said, he was saving his daughter. We can go ahead and
His
say
baby
like
girl.
Ellie is
Daughter.
is his daughter. He sees her as his daughter. Like, you have to think about it in your own shoes because your world is what's directly in front of you.
Yeah.
And maybe it's selfish, but that's all you know. And like the saving of humanity isn't going to take effect. You know, he's in his 50s. Like, this is his life.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
Plus, it was just a theory. Do we know that this is going to work?
Also, just
Right.
knock.
Up her brain?
But can he
Yeah,
have just
great
knocked
point.
out the doctor instead of shooting him in the head? Come
So-
on.
No,
I won't let you take her.
the doctor said, "I won't let you take her." Like, that was too strong a wording. He was like, if you would have said, "Stop, let's talk about this," maybe then. No, but
I mean, Joel was just capping everybody at
Yeah,
that point.
he
He
was,
was in
exactly.
full Rambo
Yeah.
mode.
You bring up a point about negotiation tactics. I mean, you probably don't want to come strong when a guy's holding a gun.
yeah, that's very true.
No,
Yeah, that was
not
a bit
great.
much.
But I do, because you brought up the video game. Has anyone else played the video game? Derek, I know you have.
Mhm.
No.
My kids, but no. not
So
me.
this is a fascinating subject for me because I didn't directly play the video game, but I lived with a roommate at the time who was playing through it.
Mhm.
And so I watched all of this
Oh, yeah.
unfold. So I didn't
yeah.
play it directly, but
But you almost got the view, like you almost got this show the first time yourself
Right.
while watching it.
So in this show, it's a little bit different because obviously in the game you are controlling this character, and in the video game the shooting of the doctor does happen. You have to kill the doctor, but it doesn't give you a choice, and you have to be the person to push that button. And so after spending hours controlling this character, you're kind of tethered to them. You're more invested in saving Ellie, who you've been playing this entire game with. I think in the show, the hospital killing spree was more effective up until the doctor point, because up to that point, it kind of muted the sounds of the murders that he was making. It made it seem like he was just numb, and the music that was playing let you know, like, this is a reprehensible decision that he's making.
Correct.
But when you get to the doctor, it's a little bit different when you have to be the one to press the button and pull the trigger, and you don't have a choice. Right. So Derek, I am curious your thoughts on how it played out in the game versus in the show, because I know a lot of gamers complained that like it didn't do it for them. It didn't hit as hard as the game, but for the show watchers, I thought it was still effective.
I think that there's moments in the show that make you go, holy shit, this is the game. Mm-hmm. Like there's times where the cinematography follows behind Joel in such a way that it's literally trying to show you the game. There's scenes, there's stuff that happens. Mm-hmm. There's those big moments, like in the finale. I think when they had the view scene, the view's pretty good from here with the giraffes. Like that happened much earlier in the game, but it let you know that like this relationship between the two of them was much deeper. It was growing, and the bond was there, right? But like when you're playing the game, you kind of take on that same feeling as Joel. And I mean, that's what kind of made me emotional watching this show, was like, you do get to a point where you're like, I will kill all these motherfuckers to save Ellie. I don't give a shit. I will kill the doctor.
Play a video game and think, oh yeah, this is a moral dilemma.
No, well, no, I will tell you this.
Shot at, I'm going to shoot back.
That is true. Like, there's a lot less of that, because a video game, you do tend to like go through it and kind of maybe skip cutscenes because you're just trying to play the game, right? This game was different. The storytelling was unique, and they honored that in the show quite a bit. But you're right. I mean, it does. There are times though in video games, like there were Call of Duty games and other games where they put you in a moral situation, and honestly, that didn't really impact the game, but it kind of made you feel like dirty if you like for doing it, right? And that's what it comes down to with the doctor is the doctor scene in the game is definitely emphasized more, but I still feel like the entire scene here at the end was about Joel going on that rampage and doing, it's almost like an obsession, right? It's like past love, where you are just literally willing to do anything, no matter how immoral it is, to save that person that you love.
And you've been so conditioned to behaving that way.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
To survive. So,
right. And we had got those signs from Joel, obviously with Sarah and everything. But we also got the signs, like there were multiple hints, allusions to the fact that once Sarah died in the 20 years that followed and the world was broken, Joel was a terrible human being who made reprehensible decisions, and didn't really have anything to live for. Obviously, he brought up the fact that he tried to commit suicide and end it all. And like, he had no reason to live. He had no faith in humanity. And it's ironic that in the process, he meets this girl who becomes his pseudo daughter and kind of restores his humanity. And at the very end, to save his own humanity, he sacrifices all of humanity.
Yeah, basically, right.
It is a fascinating moral dilemma of what would you do to preserve your peace compared to when he's given up on the world and he views it as lost and broken. But I do want to ask about the ending, your thoughts on that, because in the game, when he tells Ellie, he swears that he's telling her the truth, and she says, okay, that's the end of the game. And at the time, gamers didn't know that there would be a sequel, that there would be a show like that. It was one of the most morally ambiguous endings to any story. Here, we know a season 2 is coming. We know, for people who have played the game or read the story, we know kind of what happens in that. Did the ending resonate with you guys as the non-gamers as that kind of morally ambiguous, like, holy shit kind of mic drop?
You go first.
I think so. I think it ended and I was like, oh, I don't know. And also, first of all, I didn't even realize, well, I knew going into it that this was the season finale last week. I didn't realize that there was only one episode left. So I was, and like, they could just end it. Like, this could have been a mini series, and then you're just like, whoa, because you saw the progress of Joel's character arc, of Ellie's character arc, and it could have ended there, and you could have left it, and it's like, you saw her behavior in that last episode. She felt very like disassociated because of her having, to murder someone last week and all.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, deserved, but also all the things, like she killed multiple people on their journey, and even before, when she had to kill her best friend. And when she stops and says, like, hey, I need to tell you this. Like, I just feel so awful for her that she feels like she's causing all of this harm, but like, she's not.
It's not
Yeah,
her.
it's the world.
It's not her.
Yeah, it's the world she lives
It's the
in.
world, and Joel has done 1,000 times worse. So anyway, so when it gets to that moment, it's like it's just that classic thing of like, you know, sometimes parents lie to their kids to protect them.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
And
Yeah.
it's hard because you understand why, but then children can often resent their parents for that.
Sure.
This is it's a humanity
become
issue.
parents.
Like we can literally
Then they understand it all.
like everyone in the world can like speak to a time that they resent their parents for maybe lying to them or covering up the truth. And that moment was, and it was just really interesting because he's right and he's wrong all at once. And like that's the thing. You can't like I'm not even I'm not team he's 100% wrong. I'm not team he's 100% right. Like I recognize this gray. It's gray.
Yeah.
So many shades of gray in that final season.
Yeah.
In the final scene. Again, trying to protect her. So what would you do to protect your child? You might not tell them the truth. You might not tell them that literally anyone who wants you now wants to carve out your brain and kill you. That might not be a good thing for a kid to hear. Again, we don't even know if that would work, what they were going to do. So it might have been a wasted life in that respect. But then, did he sacrifice?
But he wasted like 20
and then he gunned every now.
Maybe her life would have been wasted.
He was right
20
that they would have
lives.
continued to hunt her down. Right?
Yeah.
That was what they were trying to do.
That's why he killed Marlene.
There's so much complexity in it, and to me, this is what I love about this show so much. I watch so many shows where we have, that's the bad guy. He'll behave like the bad guy. Here, like, I don't know if you guys watch You, but like the first woman in it is just, the starving artist woman who needs to be saved. She's a victim. Give me a break. Just write a better character. To me, it's lazy or bad writing.
Right.
Be better. Yeah. The writing here is so complex.
Yeah.
The characters are so complex. And for that reason, they're so real because there aren't flat bad guys and good guys. Yeah. People have all these different nuances within them, and they portray it so well. They portray it so subtly too in some scenes, like the scene you're talking about where she's still getting past the idea that this pedophile tried to whatever with her, right? That whole scene where he's trying to talk her through it gently, like just trying to make conversation to find out where her mind is and if she's okay. It's just incredible writing.
To your point, I was reading, I always love to read the reviews after a show or an episode like this, and one of them included the quote from the German philosopher Hegel, who wrote, "Genuine tragedy is a case of not right against wrong, but of right against right, two equally justified ethical principles embodied in people of unchangeable will." And that was this season to a T, honestly.
No, it really was. There was so many times where you thought it was going to go in a predictable route, even up until the end, and it never really does. It has those moments. It takes these left turns that you don't expect, but it's the complexity of the relationships and the morals behind, them. Like Tommy, his brother, for instance, like when they find it, it seems like Shangri-La, right? And so why would you keep pressing on when you have kind of this society you found that protects you and would keep you safe? Well, the reason why is because Ellie wanted to continue on this journey. She wanted to make sure that they saw what they were there, to do. What basically happens throughout the journey mostly is Joel changing, right? And like Joel going from treating her like cargo to treating her like the most important thing in the world to him and only him. It's just, it was such an amazing thing that final scene. It just, of the trouble down the road, basically, especially with another season coming up, that relationship between the two of them is going to be tested or potentially ended over this. Right. She's going to learn the truth, and that's going to be a problem for them. But
yeah. And another thing that I appreciate this show that I wanted to talk about was kind of the symmetry and the way that the stories started kind of was reflected in the way that they ended. So like in this episode in particular, it starts with Ellie's birth scene. And it shows the mother lying about when she cut the umbilical cord to save Ellie's life and to give her a chance to save humanity unknowingly.
Right.
And at the end, her other parent in her life tells her another lie to basically take that agency away, like you were talking about, to take away that opportunity to save humanity. And Leah, you sent this in. There's the shot of Joel holding Sarah from the very beginning when he loses his daughter to Joel holding Ellie and not being willing to make that same mistake, not being willing to let anything be out of his hands and just pull the trigger right away. I love that was kind of throughout episodes individually, throughout the season as a whole, and especially this finale. There were ways that how the story started was reflected in how it ended as well, in twisted and kind of sad ways like that.
I love the fact that this show about fungi, mushroom, zombie people featured very few fungi, zombie, mushroom people, right? Like, oh man, we'll get there. We'll get there. But you know, like even like the bloater making its appearance, they if you've played against that son of a bitch in the video game, you are like, no, I don't know. I have bad flashbacks to this, but like that wasn't really like, it was just the setting. It was the relationships. It was the characters. That is what it's about, and you find that kind of playing the game too, like, and that's why the story kind of sucks you in the way it does. I just love the theme of love throughout it. You know what I mean? Like the fact that all of these relationships, including Ellie's relationship with her friend in the mall, and Frank and Bill, and everything that happens is all about finding in this world of chaos and everything being terrible, someone that you love, you know, and someone that you care about enough that you want to essentially care for them and protect them. And like, it doesn't happen at times that it's convenient, nor does it happen with who you might suspect. But this show is all about the love you can find, even in a terrible post-apocalyptic world.
And it's nuanced, because with a lot of post-apocalyptic stuff, we see like the question is raised, like, what does your humanity mean when the world around you is so broken? Right. And in this, it's saying, like, in a lot of those shows, it's like you still need to have your humanity, you still need to love. And in this show, it's like, yes, but to a certain point, because also love can be kind of dangerous, like with the decisions that Joel makes. Understandable and humane as they might be, they're also putting the entire world at risk. So I was fascinated by that. Favorite moments or moment from the season?
I still can't get over that Bill and Frank episode.
Oh my god,
because it was so good. And again, there's that theme, right? Is essentially Bill. Bill was Nick Offerman.
I think so.
Okay,
yeah.
But he, you know, protected himself in every way you could imagine, right? He had his world completely locked down, and this person comes into his world, and at the end, he doesn't want to live at all without that person, right? And that's how, like, that relationship and that narrative changes, how the only thing he wanted to do was keep himself safe and keep himself happy. And then he meets this person that he falls in love with. And when that comes that time that person can't live anymore, he doesn't want to go on without them. And for it to not really be a very consequential episode in the grander narrative, it was such a beautiful standalone thing.
Yes,
you know?
to be able to do that type of writing, right? And I know it's part of the game as well, and I didn't play the game.
But it's not like that in the game.
That sort of departure where this isn't about the main characters at all. We're just going to leave them for an entire episode and still just nail the story.
But also with that, you can argue too, because Bill, like, he had it locked down. He had his own little society. He could have easily invited more people into that, and he chose not to. It's this bigger question: what's for you and what's for humanity and the greater good? Because easily he could have he
could have started the same thing Tommy had in Wyoming, right?
Easily, but he didn't, because he loved his life, and then he loved his life with just Frank. So and I agree with you. That episode,
it just blew me away, because I felt like it was going to have a bigger impact. And again, playing the game, you're just kind of like, wait, this was like a weird side quest for a battery is what it was. And there were notes that you read that you came across that kind of told this narrative, but you never saw this beautiful story between these two people kind of play out the way it does in the episode. So like, that was, as a gamer and someone that played it, that was kind of a treat, I felt like, to see that on the show.
And I felt like that's something the show did very well, is respecting the origins of the game for the hardcore fans that loved it, breathed it, lived it, and also expanding on it in ways that were respectful to the original material, but also enhanced it. And the Bill and Frank episode was a classic example of that. Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett were tremendous in that, to make that relationship feel so tender, lived in, and real. I also, that was my favorite episode for sure. I also want to give a shout out to the one with Henry and Sam. Because that was heartbreaking. And even knowing it was coming, it was like, it's brutal, and they did it so well.
Well, I mean, you have the same stupid childish hope Ellie does, that the cutting herself open and mixing her blood with Sam's is gonna fix him. And then when it doesn't happen, you're like, Yeah, of course. That was stupid of me to even think that that was going to work, right? But it's the heartbreaking reality of it that you almost think that it's this fairy tale where like, oh man, she can save him like that. And it's like,
you develop such an attachment to these characters in such a short period of time. Oh, we're going to kill him now.
Yeah.
And that's the reality. That's what would happen. But it's just like, God, really?
Right.
But it's like
just
shows like this make me feel in a way that as an adult male, I don't feel. I don't get emotional. And sometimes shows just kind of wash over me. Like I could watch a character's death in certain shows and be like, whatever. This show was different. Like you said, they can introduce characters in this episode and I will be tearing up by the end when they die because they made me feel that way. Right. And especially those two deaths were tragic and awful, and you just saw the whole thing play out, and it was heartbreaking. You know,
it could have been repetitive with the pattern of here's a new character, here's how they die, but it never felt that way because of the storytelling and the writing that was at work.
And Ellie's note on the pad, you know, I'm sorry that she that was just something. Like again, it's like it kept making my heart break, but like in a good way. A show that makes you feel emotional like this. Like you said, it's just the great writing.
Any criticisms or concerns? Leah, we'll start with you.
Yeah. No,
you go.
No, I don't. I don't have any. Well, like not that I can think of right now. I wasn't ready.
And this is, and I'm not even sure this is a criticism. Like it's only 8 episodes, right? And they're short episodes. They're tight. Editing is so underrated these days. In my business, I know this because we don't have them anymore, Gerald. You probably know this as well.
Yes.
Editing is a lost art, and it is so important to just cut away the fat and tell a good, concise story. At the same time, I feel like these writers are so good that they could have given us a little more.
Yeah.
Eight episodes just felt like we got cheated a little bit.
I think it was 9, but the finale was only was only 44 minutes. And
it's crazy. Normally finales are like over an hour.
Right.
They'll extend them, right? But sometimes with those extended ones, you're like, this
a little
is
too much.
A little bit. Should have been edited, but.
And to your point, playing the video game is much longer. So like it did, like there was parts of me that when they get to certain scenes or certain checkpoints, as you could say, right? Like you're in my mind, I'm going, wait a minute. We're almost through the first game already. Like they probably could have stretched the first game into maybe 2 or 3 seasons, but it all depends on the timeline and what kind of story they want to tell. I think the biggest problem is when things are successful, shows are successful, they want to extend it out. They want to draw it out, right? And sometimes in order to tell a good story, you gotta keep it concise and gotta know that there's going to be an ending
there's
eventually.
A balance. There's a balance there, but I feel like there's more that they left.
I
feel like this is a thing with American television too.
Yes.
I agree.
They're not working as hard as we want them to work. That's part of it.
Especially when it's really, really good, right?
Yes,
and you know, I guess that's the question of it is how long do you make it go? Do you leave people wanting more, or do you give them a 22 episode season?
Right. I mean, how many episodes of Love Island UK are there, Leah?
Over 60.
Hold on. These are not the same thing. Okay, these are not the same forms of entertainment.
Like I'm watching another series that I love, Extraordinary Attorney Woo. They've got a lot more episodes, and it's still tight. It's still really good.
Sure.
I just wanted a little bit more, but that's not even a gripe. It's just
it's
so
a positive.
Good.
You liked it so much, you wanted more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For me, I'll be the one to gripe because I feel like if this show was a steak, there would be no fat on it, and I like a little bit of fat. A little bit is tasty. A lot could kill you, but a little bit is good.
Well, look at what we were just saying. Our favorite episode is an episode that was kind of a standalone that really did not actually occur in the video game. It was just a beautiful episode that they expanded on from a relationship that they had in the video game. So like there definitely could have been more of that. I felt like the time with Tommy was very short compared to like how much time you're actually there in the game. But again, that's just my brain. Like sometimes boards were hard and I got stuck there forever. So I don't know how long it was supposed to last compared to my, my memory of it.
I think so the 9 episode format, I think it might have been HBO not being sure how this show would be received because it's based on a video game, and everything that's based on a video game is usually
saying money
bad.
decided things?
It might have. It might
Does that happen?
I don't know though.
Shocking.
They felt very invested in this for how long they were like promoting it and stuff. It's like from the day they started filming it, they were we're doing this.
I think they knew it was good, but when you order only 9 episodes, I do think because there was one of my biggest gripes was that I felt like compared to the game, like in the game, Joel is ruthless. That he's a badass dude.
Yeah.
In the show, you know that, but you don't see as much of it because the meat of what you see is him warming up to Ellie and finding his humanity again. You kind of see it in the last episode where he just like stabs the guy in the knee and doesn't give a fuck like what he's going to do to get Ellie
the
back.
interrogation scene.
Right. But other than that, I do think after the scene where Sarah dies, there could have been a whole episode of showing who he's become in this post-apocalyptic world. I would have liked to see that fleshed out. And it did feel like the finale was paced very quickly, despite taking a break for some of those tender moments like the giraffe scene, which was
it was so cool.
At least they didn't shorten it and blow it, though.
Yes.
Like Game of Thrones.
Oh God, I can't even.
Good thing we weren't doing G-rated then.
Yeah.
Oh
It'd
my
be an
God.
hour and a half.
I would have had a conniption.
Was anybody else impressed by how newborn the baby was? Like I was like, damn, they got a newborn baby. Did they go out to a hospital? Like we need a 3-year-old or 3-day-old.
I was also impressed by the effortless delivery. It came out really fast.
It really, there was. I mean, I know she was focused on killing the
about to get
infected.
Have you seen the
murdered.
meaning of life?
I don't know.
Everybody.
Sometimes you push really hard when you're gonna get murdered.
The other thing that I felt like they could have fleshed out a little bit more in this finale was Marlene's kind of total lack of foresight. I know that the Joel that she knew to be a ruthless guy who wouldn't care, he viewed her as cargo. Like I think she was expecting that Joel to just be like, yeah, whatever, pay me and I'll get out of here.
Yeah.
That's what they were going for, but I don't think they established that well enough, especially with the fact that his partner Tess died in this journey. Like Marlene telling him the whole plan and just being like, here are 2 guards who aren't really paying attention that are going to escort you out. But here's the whole plan in case you want to do anything with that.
Well, and
a little questionable.
And she just got done saying like, damn, you're a badass. You made it here. Like we almost died 3 times. I had all these guys protecting me. And look at you. You were
Where was she the whole time, by the way? She just appears in the garage.
Right.
Where was she? Just hiding out? Like,
not
okay, I'll
just
just let
that.
you kill
Well,
them
no,
all.
she was there. Oh, well, you were talking about there at the end.
Yeah.
I also thought, if you're there, couldn't you have brought Ellie with you? Like, wasn't that Joel's whole point? I mean, I get it. Like she said, she almost died a bunch of times and had people, caring for her, but still, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. These are minor quibbles, of course, but they are. It was interesting to me that like, okay, this dude who is basically John Wick in the post-apocalyptic world, you're telling him everything.
Yeah.
Like, did you give him the floor plan as well?
I want to give a shout out, by the way, to the original actors that played Joel and Ellie being in the show, because that was an incredible addition. Obviously, neither one of them played those characters, but I loved Joel's reaction. The guy that played Joel, I loved his reaction to his death scene because he thought it was awesome. And then Ashley Johnson, who played Ellie in the video game, was Ellie's mother in this final episode. And I just kind of love the symbolism of that, like the fact that she was Ellie, and now here she is giving birth in the show to the television version of Ellie is kind of awesome. Also, shout out to Ashley Johnson. I have pictures of me and my dad with her, which hopefully we'll post up. But
we'll be able to show.
We'll throw those up there. But
you can see the close up.
I had a day where I had to babysit Ashley Johnson back in 1992, so I'm very, very proud to see her do anything. But I mean, this of course was very cool because I did not know that she was Ellie in the video game. So to find all of this out was tremendous. And I think it's, again, the fact that they both were in this show was just a great way to, once again, honor the video game. Yeah.
That is incredible that you got to do that. Also that anyone let you babysit in the first place.
Yeah, no, they had me watching 2 kids that day. It was a really bad idea. I was only 11, so I don't know if you should be putting other people in my care, but Pedro Pascal, he'll protect us all.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, anything that we did not talk about that you guys feel is pertinent to this? Because there's so much here, even though the 9 episodes went by so quickly.
I'm just upset. I know I'm going to have to wait so long.
Hard. Yeah. Because the nature of binge watching, right? Well, this came out once a week, so it really isn't. But when you only have 9 episodes, you have to wait a long time. Do we have any read on a release date for season 2?
I think they were saying 2024 or 2025. Hopefully it's 2024.
So we'll have to rewatch this entire season before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably.
Maybe play the game in between.
There you go.
I would try. It makes me want to play.
It really does.
It really
play when you come over.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear I'm having a St. Patrick's Day?
I heard about that.
Are you really? Oh, we'll have to bring the PlayStation.
I'll be at the Taylor Swift concert. So.
My good. My fiance will be there, but I will be at the party.
Derek just RSVP'd live on G-rated.
That's tough. Final score out of 10. I'm gonna go with a 9. I feel like I was leaning 9.5. I can't remember a first season of television that I was as immediately engrossed with, and not just engrossed with, but respected for how well it told its story, despite the fact that we were just meeting these characters. Leah, how about you?
I'm going to go 8.5.
Okay.
That was just my initial gut when you said that. So.
Yeah.
And I don't really have a reason.
I'm going 9.5. Bella Ramsey was incredible in this.
Unreal.
She is just, she made, I think, us as an audience fall in love with Ellie as much as Joel does as a character in the show, right? And like, there's just so many endearing moments that I thought that the acting, the writing, everything was incredible. But for her to kind of steal the spotlight a little bit from one of the most kind of the most popular actors in America right now was something. She did a fantastic job.
I'm going to go with a 9.51 to be slightly higher than Derek.
There you go.
I feel bad being the lowest score, but I stand by it.
Price is righted me? What the hell?
My only quibble being I just wanted more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Agree with that. Well, that's going to do it for us here at G Rated. You can follow me at Gerald Bourget. You can follow Leah at Leah Merrill. You can follow Derek at Cap_Caveman. And you can follow Craig at Craig S. Morgan. Until next time, keep it G Rated.